Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I'm your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. I hit the wrong button. I have my guest on the screen already. Oh my god. Welcome to Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. I'm on my coffee break. Special thanks to the Jackdaws for providing the music today. I always point up because, I guess the music is up here somewhere. All right, but they give us a wonderful theme song that is appropriately titled "Shakespeare Approves of This Theme Song." So I'd like to thank them for that. I'm just going to keep Claire on screen here as I say, hey, we have some wonderful, wonderful stuff coming up. I'm going to be talking about all of it at the end of the show. Some wonderful upcoming shows, upcoming events, special things. And those of you who are watching already this morning, Kathy Evans, good morning on both YouTube and Facebook. Hello, Kathy. Get us all the views. Lissa Mitchell is here. Good morning. And today we're going to be having a wonderful conversation about gatekeeping in nerd culture. Everything it means, what is good about it, if anything, what is not so good about it, and what we can do collectively and as individuals in order to properly address it. And here with me to talk about it is my dear friend, Claire Bochenek, Artistic Director of the Zenith Players. She is one of the smartest people I have the pleasure of knowing. And she suggested this this topic when I said, hey, do you want to lead another roundtable? She said, yeah, that wasn't able to happen because of when I do this show and when people are available. But she said, hey, we can still talk about this, have a good conversation. So that's what we're going to do. If you have any questions yourself about gatekeeping, nerd culture, etc., so on and so forth, if you just want to ask what Claire's upcoming show is, by the way, I hope you watched Oedipus Rex this weekend. It was good. Then, you know what? It was fun for the whole family.
Until it wasn't.
Then put him into the chat. But here is my friend Claire Bochenek, Artistic Director of the Zenith Players.
Oh.
Muppet Arms! Oh my god! Yes! Claire, how are you doing the Muppet Arms too? What t-shirt are you wearing? That looks fun. Is that a Captain America t-shirt?
It's Captain America!
Ah! Yes! Oh, I had no interest in Captain America when I was a kid. All of my interest was in Superman and Batman. And then the movies entirely changed my mind.
I was rather similar. I was more into Superman than almost anything else.
Yeah. So I think you're 10, maybe, years younger than me. You're 30?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you would have been a little too young then for Death of Superman, but that was the biggest thing in the world. Are you familiar with Death of Superman?
No, actually.
So you've seen the Zack Snyder. You need to brighten up your screen in order to watch the movie versions of the Justice League and Superman, all that, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, etc. So spoilers for Batman v Superman. Superman dies. That is directly out of the comics from a wonderful saga in 92, maybe 93, The Death of Superman. They decided, we're going to kill this guy off. He's finally going to have his happy ever after with Lois Lane. Things are looking good. Doomsday. And we're going to kill him off. And it was the most amazing thing. It made the news. And I don't just mean it made the local news. Oh, Superman died and there were lines outside the comic book store. It was on ABC News, World News Tonight, and the Today Show, and all of this. They're like, can you believe they killed off Superman? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? It's just like, please. In comics, nothing is forever. But everyone had forgotten that because they had never done it with Superman before.
When you only had to worry about the news spoiling something instead of social media.
Oh, yeah. Well, because, AOL wasn't even really a thing yet. I think we had Prodigy. And, yeah. You don't remember Prodigy, do you? You only know
I remember
stories.
hearing about Prodigy.
Yes.
I am old enough to remember when the internet screamed when you turned it on.
Okay. All right. Good for you. Yes. I remember Christmas Day 1993, we got our computer and with it the internet. And we had to plug it into the only phone line in the house. And we're spooling it up and I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. And then they started creating computers that had silent modems, so you didn't need to hear that unless you had just like plugged into the headphone jack.
I remember getting text messages from my mother going, "Get off the internet," when she wasn't home because she was trying to call the home phone.
That's hilarious. You're getting a text about getting off the... That's amazing. Cheers.
She didn't want to call the cell phone because then you were using minutes.
That's right. Oh my gosh. So my very first cell phone, it was minute by minute by minute, and I had it for far too many years. And my wife and I would text a lot, but then I'd be like, I would send her very long texts because after a little while, there was no difference in how much you were paying between a short text, "Hey, what you doing?" to a very long novel of, "I'm going to tell you my entire day right now." And I would always preface it with, "My minutes are low." It was so stupid. It was grand. But in honor of today's conversation, where we're talking about nerd culture, I'm drinking out of a very nerdy coffee cup that I got from as a Secret Santa present for my one Star Trek group, the Illuminati. So thank you, cheers, and let's discuss gatekeeping in nerd culture. Claire Bochenek, what does this mean? What are you talking about when you say this?
It can mean a few things. It can be, examples of it can include just you're a fan of this particular character, name your top 3 episodes that they're in. Or it can be, it doesn't need to be quizzing somebody on something. It can be, well, if the Joker isn't your favorite character, are your tastes sophisticated enough to be in our fandom? Or it can be anything of this, like including this person doesn't kind of fit like our cosplay family model. So,
yeah, you sent me. I should load up that picture that you sent me this morning about a tweet sent out from the Doctor Who account saying, "Hey, tweet as your favorite Doctor. It's Doctor Who Day. Blah blah blah. Who's your favorite Doctor? Is it 13? Is it 4? Is it 1? Is it 11? Or are you making up your own? I mean, go ahead." And then someone was like, "If you don't even look like them, why bother?" And it's just like, what? No.
And that's not to say that if you put a lot of effort into your cosplay and your cosplay looks like film perfect, then more power to you. It's like a really creative art form, and if that is what you are interested in, that's great. But it's kind of the exclusionary technique that people use to ensure that they maintain a purity to their fan base. That doesn't necessarily include new fans.
Yes.
So I participate badly in competitive sports. So I kind of sometimes.
Oh, are we talking about your alter ego, the Kit Kat monster? I mean, you competitively eat Kit Kats.
I haven't gotten into competitive Kit Kat eating yet.
I think that should be a thing if it's not. You're gonna scare away the competition just with that moniker.
I just haven't found the right sport yet. That's what it is. That's it.
The Americans call it soccer.
Yeah.
A lot of running.
But like I equate the two. I have experienced more instances of sexism and discrimination from this is going to sound unbelievable, from the nerd community than I have from the athletic community. And I don't believe that it's because the athletic community is necessarily better about it. I just feel that they have had a spotlight on them for long enough that they have been called out on it and have begun to adjust the behavior to be more accepting of people that were outside of their group. And I feel like that is kind of where the tide is turning with the nerd community. We're starting to shine that spotlight.
I would 100% agree with that. I had never given it that level in depth of thought of why are nerds becoming the bullies? We were the bully. I mean, obviously you can say, well, the bullied become bullies themselves unless they have a really good upbringing. And so there's that level of it. And so why are nerds the bullies now? Well, because of the cycle. But so why are nerds bigger bullies than, let's say, the jocks and the sports people right now? Yeah, just that spotlight that has been shone on sports for the last 25 years.
Mm-hmm. They've been called out on it so much that, and this is why when you call somebody out on it, it does begin to work, and it does begin to address the problem and make it more comfortable for people who are who wouldn't have been accepted years ago to be more accepted in that community. There is a thing with the nerd culture where that is where people who might have felt excluded from other things, like the more popular things that people were interested in, felt confident there. They felt confident in being fans of certain TV shows and certain comics and things like that. So they built their own community. So they kind of formed their own family in a sense, and now when mainstream formats pick up, there was an uptick in fans when the MCU started every single Marvel film that came out was a whole host of new fans. So it was a whole bunch of new people that were getting inserted into the fandom. So it became less of a family situation and started becoming more mainstream. And I think that made people uncomfortable.
Well, and not only that, because of the whole thing of I liked it before you did, and therefore you're not a real fan, which happens in every level of it. And I've also encountered that with sport as well. Of well, I've grown up cheering for the red shirts, and you've only started cheering for the red shirts in the last year. Are you a real fan? It's like
it's funny. There is an instance where those two collide in Order of the Phoenix.
That's right.
Ron sees Cho with her button on, and he's like, "Oh, well, you've only been a fan for this long, right?" And she's like, "I've been a fan since I was 6." So, also, and there's where the worlds collide.
Also, different positions they end up playing, but Cho Chang, way better Quidditch player than Ron Weasley. So a competition I would really have liked to see. Not so much Harry versus Cho, where someone was yelling at her, Adam, knock her off her broom, Harry. Just like, was that Wood? Yeah, that was Wood in year 3. Knock her off her broom, Harry. It's just like, wow, that's mean.
That escalated quickly.
Also, that is also bad. Yeah. I'm not sure if you've read the rules of Quidditch or seen any of the other Harry Potter stories. Getting knocked off your broom is bad. But regardless, according to, and I don't know if this is canon or if this is fanfic, but Jenny becomes a professional Quidditch player for a while. I would have loved to have seen the two of them go head to head, or even be on the same team as one the alternate for the other. I don't know. It would have been grand. So, also, real quick, this is just me nerding out. I'm so sorry. I'm nerding out. I'm taking pressure out of your interview. But in the Wizarding world, And you were on my last episode where we talked about wizarding stuff, period. And that was a sad episode. I think we've all kind of decided we're going to still just try to enjoy it because no matter what, we can't take money away from her. You're a terrible person, but you're also richer than God, so how can we hurt you? We can't. That being said, buy them used. Read them because they're great. Buy them used. Or libraries. Libraries are things. And where was I going? Oh, right. Wizarding World Sport. So Quidditch, other than there being all female teams and some teams just kind of by default all male teams, the Slytherin team is a grand example of being an all male team. Quidditch seems to be a fully intramural sport in as much that regardless of sex or gender, you're playing with each other.
Mm-hmm.
At both the school level and at the international and or professional level. And so that's kind of grand because the Irish team, Moran, I remember, was specifically was a woman player. So it seems to be no real per se sexism in the fictional game of Quidditch. In this fictional game, there is no sexism per se. It's just more based on talent. But then, as you pointed out, Ron Weasley being a prat to Cho Chang.
Yep.
All right.
It's where worlds collide.
Worlds collide. Back to Claire making far more sense and using coherent, straightforward sentences that follow a classic A, B, C structure. Then here's Shakespeare talking. We're all the way in Albuquerque. To have a consistent and logical argument here. Bochenek, everyone.
So, yeah, it's actually it's a really interesting phenomenon to look at because really what we don't want to say is there is a certain level of elitism that goes along with it, and there is a certain level of classism that goes along with it. It's easy for a lot of us to forget that not everybody had the same opportunities to be able to read a comic that came out regularly. Growing up, not everybody had the financial security to have cable TV growing up. So there were certain shows that certain people didn't see. I until I was in like freshman year of high school, lived like on top of a mountain where we just physically couldn't get cable. So there were shows that I had never seen. I hadn't seen an episode of Star Trek until well into high school. Apart from just like the little clips I would catch here and there when I was visiting a family member or friend. So there is a certain understanding that we all need to have of, just because somebody is new to the fandom doesn't make them any less of a fan. At what point does somebody become a fan?
That is a grand question, and it's one of those things that myself, having been able to introduce people to this, it's your first reaction might be, you've never seen Star Trek? And it's less of a, how dare you? It's more of a, oh, there's so much great in front of you. I'm excited for you because you get to experience it all for the first time. That is how it should be. Not, I can't even talk to you. No. I mean, the best version of the I can't even talk to you is, once you understand this, then we have a certain lingua franca that we can use to go back and forth and discuss things. But to do otherwise is just gross. Otherwise, how do you expect to get new fans for something? How do you expect to meet someone else, make a new friend who shares your interests and loves?
It's if you have like a 15-year-old kid that saw Batman versus Superman and they decide that they are suddenly into Superman, There's sometimes kind of a litmus test where it's like, oh, you saw Batman versus Superman, like they don't pass the purity check. But what you're doing is deterring new fans from experiencing more work that could be like right there, that could be in front of them.
Absolutely. People who slam the new Star Wars trilogy, and rightfully so, because JJ, look at me. What were you doing? Anyway, the fans who slam that series are failing to take into account people who are attracted to it because there is a new way in for them.
Mm-hmm.
Just as it was with, this. Kirk drinks out of this mug, not this one specifically. And I mean, if so, that was a hell of a Christmas present. And thank you. Thank you, Phoebe, if this is the screen used one by Chris Pine. Thank you. But it wasn't. You get it out of a store. Kirk is drinking out of this coffee mug in one of the, in either Star Trek Into Darkness or Star Trek Beyond. And the three JJ helmed Star Trek movies from 2009, 2012, and 16, maybe 2017. They are not perfect. They are not the Star Trek I grew up with. They are their own thing, and they are beautiful. And furthermore, my spouse, off-screen wife, she likes them. She thinks they are great and good, and that this is how it should be moving forward. Discovery is not everyone's cup of tea, but here's the thing, newsflash, Star Trek has never been everyone's cup of tea. And so then fans saying, this isn't my Star Trek, that's okay, but then let it rest. Don't be like, this is inferior and we need to slam it all the time. It's just like, this isn't for me, I'm going to move on and watch something else I like. That's just how that should be. Don't take away people's love and enjoyment of stuff.
That's actually interesting because they're discovering that Discovery is responsible for bringing more women and people of color into the fandom than any of the previous iterations of Star Trek. And
on that, season 4 is going to feature an almost entirely female or female identifying bridge crew. Continue.
But it's representation, and representation matters. So when a large portion of the fan base questions new fans about what brought them into what brought their interests about, and if somebody says Discovery and your first response is, oh, it's telling. It's telling. It's total. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea, and you don't like it, and that is acceptable, and it's fine. But if you can't determine a reason why you don't like it apart from the cast, then there might be a further examination there.
Exactly.
That needs to be done.
Exactly. And full disclosure, as a 40-year-old man, my favorite 2 Star Wars films are not in the classic saga. They're not in the prequel saga either, although that's where I came of age. 99, I think, is when Phantom Menace came out, and that's also the year I graduated high school. My favorite 2 Star Wars films are The Force Awakens, so the first JJ movie. I'm like, oh, we can do that? We can kill off a major captain? All right, let's do this. Let's do this all the time. And I also, for the record, fully expected everyone to die. Just like, we're killing everyone. And then he didn't, because he did the J.J. Abrams thing of, no one's really dead. Ooh, I'm going to take away the emotional stakes of having just killed them. Ooh. And it's just like, no. Bad J.J. Bad storytelling, J.J. That being said, I thought they were beautifully acted. But also Rogue One. Star Wars in the Star Wars universe. So it feel more like the cartoons, which are outside of the saga. This is the story. Here's other things that are happening. I thought Rogue One was the most insanely well done Star Wars movie they did. And everyone is like, well, we know they're all going to die. How can you build emotional stakes? You do it right. Oh, by the way, spoilers on Rogue One. They all die. You build the emotional stakes correctly. Oh, it's perfect. It's like, how do they go out? It's just like, and then the beautiful bit with Vader at the end. By the way, lots of Rogue One spoilers. Vader being more Vader than he's ever Vadered before in his life in the entire saga, and then also Leia at the end, that little bit of hope. My heart, but still, I thought that those two are my favorite. And also Star Trek Beyond in the JJ verse, the Kelvin universe, that is one of my favorite Star Trek movies. New Trek, not just New Trek, but that's one of my favorite Star Trek movies. Period. It's in the top 3 or 4, definitely out of the 13. Yeah, 13 that they've done. And then finally, Discovery is freaking awesome. It is a messy soap opera, and I am here for it. I question writing choices. I question directing choices. I question the color chromatics of the screen. It's like, it's way too dark. And I don't mean it's a dark show. I mean, you have to turn up the brightness level of your screen, and you're like, oh, okay, now I can make that out. Just CBS Paramount, just turn it up. That's all I ask. But I question every choice at some point. But I love the show. It is messy, and it is in the world of Star Trek, and I am here for it. And Michael Burnham, holy smokes, that lady needs a therapist. Oh my God. I mean, do you watch Discovery, Claire?
I am way behind. I am
give her a therapist. Oh my God. Give them a ship's counselor. She's in weekly sessions. That should be the show, and I'd be here for it. Oh my God.
I feel like that goes for a lot of give them a ship's counselor can count for many different Star Trek.
And that's one of the reasons Next Generation is the greatest Star Trek of all time. Come at me. Actually, now I think Lower Decks is really good too. But there's some comments I want to get to from our audience who are watching. So let's see here. Susan Hill starts off a ground conversation. She says, where to go? The real fan issues make being a fan of anything exhausting. She thinks that all fandoms are inherently toxic and always have been. It's just that now with social media, everyone has a soapbox to stand on. And yeah, that's a really interesting thought, Susan.
I think it's a really valid point. I actually just recently left. I left a fandom.
Which one?
So I was a fan of the webcomic Lore Olympus for a long time, and the fandom.
Is that the Persephone and
it's Hades and Persephone,
yeah,
and they kind of like utilize this real. It's uncomfortably close to Disney's Hercules color scheme. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, they do.
But I liked the utilization of like modern technology and these gods, and I was a fan of it for a while. But I was in like 5 Facebook groups, and the amount of infighting and just purity testing. If you didn't like this one character, then you were a bad person. Or if you thought that this other character deserved a redemption arc, then you were being toxic. And I was just so put off by it that I haven't I left the groups, and I haven't read an episode in a month, probably about a month. And it actually it brings about a really good discussion of when a creator is responsible for communication with their fandoms that I don't have an answer for.
Yeah. That's just sad. It's sad when it gets ruined like that, or if in some cases when the creator does something outside of the world of it, but it makes you then question your love of the fandom. But more on toxic fandom here. Joe DeFilippo He says the anime fandom is actually especially toxic, insanely toxic. If you don't watch this anime, you have no taste. If you dare forsake the name of Goku or Dragon Ball Z, you will be destroyed. He knows this because he can't stand Goku or Dragon Ball Z. He tries to just laugh and just enjoy his anime. But yes, I completely get that.
And you know what? Part of it is just being secure in the fact that if you like something, you're a fan. You don't need to be a part of a fandom to enjoy something.
Exactly.
So if you have a specific anime character that you really find interesting, then you're a fan. And nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, there you have that. I mean, problem solved. If you're a fan, you can't get it taken away.
There you go.
But we're going to keep going with this conversation because it's grand. On that, my particular favorite show, it has surpassed everything else in my heart of hearts, the cockle of my hearts, the subcockle, the left ventricle, my big toe, everything, is The Good Place. And the fandom around The Good Place, for me, so far, is so incredibly welcoming. It's so incredibly intelligent, and people having conversations. We all know that's going to end, and it's going to turn into a flaming dumpster fire. It's going to be an Arizona trash bag.
This is the bad place.
This is the bad place. Pretty soon, it's going to happen. But in the meantime, it's like, I am here for this bullshit. And I absolutely love it. But you pointed out to me, I have not seen this myself, thank Baby Yoda, but The West Wing has toxic fandom. And it's just like, how is this even possible?
It does. You will actually find people that say, I don't like the character of Matt Santos. And somebody will try to engage and be like, well, why? And that person just goes, I don't know, they just bug me. Now, what that says, because that's Latino representation in this big show, and it was when they were elevating this character to run for president, what do they say to fans who might be a person of color watching this show that is primarily populated with white people, but they're finally seeing themselves be represented, and then suddenly there's fans that are saying, I just don't like that character, but I can't tell you why.
Yeah, it's very sketchy, to say the least. And it's yeah, you have to develop your thesis if you're going to say aloud you don't like a character, and sometimes, you know, someone just rubs you the wrong way, like, I don't like them. I think either the actor is playing it arch, or they're being a d-bag, or poorly written, or whatever, or I don't like this actor, and that's carrying over to the character, and those are all valid. But if it's just, I don't like them, and I'm not going to tell you why, it's just like, is it because they're a minority or a woman? Let's be honest.
There's also, we can also go back to the thumper principle of if you can't say anything nice, maybe don't say anything at all. It's okay to not like a character, but there's not a lot of productivity that can come about by, I just don't like this character, full stop. If you are like, can someone help me understand why I don't like this character? These are the lines they say that bother me, and I can't identify exactly why. That's productive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if it was Santos not fully embracing, for instance, we were having this conversation off screen, well, off recording, just before the show, of Amy, the character of Amy Gardner in The West Wing. Amy, I have the Francis Scott Key. It's a key.
It's a key.
It's the Francis Scott Key. So, Amy Gardner was advocating Matt Santos pick a a woman as a vice president. And Matt kept trying to shut the conversation down. But he then also co-ops Amy's energy and everything to come into the administration. So it's a little X1. And on one hand, it was Matt Santos shutting down the conversation about a woman being vice president. Not a great look. On the other hand, it was also the writers saying, are we doing a season 8? Or do we not know? Is this one of those things that we can just kind of put off until after the season? If there's a season 8, we get it. If there's no season 8, we just don't know. So, yeah, that's my thinking. But also, for my money, she would never have wanted the job. Abby Bartlett would have been an amazing vice president. Dr. Abby Bartlett. Dr. Vice President Abby Bartlett. But she's not running for office. Bartlett's oldest daughter, Elizabeth. She's the smart one. Mm-hmm. She'd be amazing. Also, she needs to divorce that guy. She needs to divorce.
Yes, she does.
I hope in the intervening 15 years now, she has divorced that guy. I really hope so. Yes, he is the father of her children. We're talking about fictional characters here. Yes, he is the father of her children. She needs to have divorced him. I mean, it's true. Just no.
100% agree.
All right. Claire, if it's all right with you, I'd like to go back into viewer comments. Yeah.
Sure.
So, Janine, agreeing with you on if you're a fan, you're a fan. She says her cousin was super into Star Trek. Live long and prosper. Cousin. So she kind of grew up playing Star Trek with him, but she hadn't ever watched the show. She thinks you become a fan when you start reading or watching the series and telling everyone how great it is. So there's that. Susan Hill, fan of the show. She's been on the show as well. Loves Star Trek 2009. Yeah, it's a fun reimagining of how it works. Lisa Mitchell, one of her favorite things is when people accidentally try gatekeeping the actual creators of the content. I.e. comic book fans telling someone they aren't a real fan of a comic, not knowing that they wrote the comic. Yeah, seeing Ta-Nehisi Coates, if I could just get through his name, Ta-Nehisi Coates, creator of Miles Morales, Spider-Man, now Kid Arachnid in the Spider-Man universe, being told he's not a real fan. And it's just like, I wrote Spider-Man. It's like, what?
The secondhand embarrassment that goes along with witnessing those exchanges on Twitter and everything. It's like
oh no, just stop this. I don't know you, but you need to stop now. Oh my God. Susan Hill has no problem if someone doesn't like Star Trek 2009 or Discovery or anything else. It's when they tell me and anyone else that they liked, they shouldn't. You're an idiot. That is toxic. I made it part of my show, my live Shakespeare show at Renaissance festivals at the beginning during my We Will Rock You beat to shut up Discovery haters for about 2 years. It was like, shut up disco haters. And I got people to sing it, and it was grand because there was a guy at the Connecticut Renaissance Fair who would argue with me loudly how wrong Discovery is. But he would keep watching every episode. And I said, well, you know what? They've got your money. So shut up. Kathy Evans, agreeing with you, Claire. It's okay to not like every show or other media. Everyone can watch what appeals to them. And Susan Hill agreeing with Kathy on that. She's not a fan of sitcoms. But she doesn't yell that they should be cancelled or changed or that people who watch them are dumb. Just move along if you don't like something else. Haters. Susan, you don't like sitcoms? Are you not aware that Star Trek Lower Decks is effectively a sitcom? Susan, it's the greatest Star Trek show out there, other than Star Trek The Next Generation. All right. I mean, people just kind of now doing our work for us. Susan Hill says another point, since apparently she's on her own soapbox. Yeah. Susan, do you want me to just send you the link and you can join the show? You can. Yeah, would you mind if I invited Susan?
I can go for it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Susan, I'm going to send you the link to come join the show here. So I'm sending it to you on Facebook because I don't believe I have your other thing. Yeah. But here you go. Here you go, Susan. Come in and join, and then turn off the sound on your computer. like close your Facebook window, whatever. But she says here, another point, since apparently she's on her own soapbox, being female and identifying fans of Star Wars especially, the gatekeeping is terrible. Tell a guy that you're a fan and quizzing begins to ensure you really have knowledge. You mentioned this earlier, Claire. Knowledge. I can't talk. I'm a dumb man. Man up. Oh my God, Facebook can't flag me if I just say it. Hold on. Here we go. Hey, I'm in the one. Men are the worst. Take that down, Facebook. All right. All right. Tell a guy that you're a fan, and the quizzing begins to ensure that you really have knowledge. She's joined women and female identifying only groups to avoid this. That's a fantastic idea, actually. That's a wonderful idea.
I mean, it's good on one hand because it gives you kind of a space where you're not going to be checked at every corner. On the other hand, it deprives the fans that need to hear differing opinions from the opportunity to hear those differing opinions.
And here's where I will disagree with you on that. I'm perfectly okay with the walled garden. America Online, everyone hated because it was a walled garden of an internet. However, it was a relatively safe space for young kids to get online and join chat groups and message boards and whatnot. Having a walled garden of a fandom is okay. And I don't mean gatekeeping in terms of you're not a real fan, meaning I'm only letting people in here who I think are cool. I don't want toxic people around here. And yeah, you need to hear the message, don't be toxic. But no matter how many times I or Claire or anyone else says it, you're not going to get the message because you're not going to listen to us. Thus, it always has been that way. It is not, just as it is not a person of color's job to explain to me, a white person, how not to be racist, it is not my job to explain to a jerk how not to be a jerk.
I feel like it circles back to the spotlight that we were talking about, though, at the beginning, with if all of the female identifying fans leave and are only in female fan groups, and we just leave everyone else in the groups that originally existed, there isn't anyone there to check. It's not the responsibility of women to say, hey, you're being sexist, and to show them that they're being sexist, but representation does matter. So for somebody to be in there and just be like, this is my opinion, at least that opinion is being told. So it's an interesting conversation to have.
It really is. And we now have Susan Hill is coming in and joining the conversation. Susan, welcome. I'm going to turn off the Chiron for a moment. Susan Hill is she is one of the heads of a Facebook group I'm a very devoted member of. That is the Star Trek Next Conversation Face group. It is a podcast devoted to fans of the it's a Facebook group devoted to the fans of the podcast Star Trek: The Next Conversation, hosted by Matt and Andy.
That's right. It's a Facebook group that is dedicated to a show about a show.
Yes, it's a show about a show, and also for a while there was a podcast that featured other members of the face group. So there was a show about the show, which was about the show. It was the most meta thing ever. It's kind of like too. Whenever I make the joke of we need to do the West Wing weekly. Yeah. Yep. So Susan, Claire, Susan.
Hi.
Yeah. Actually, you two if no other time, met the other day when we did our reading of Austin Land.
That's right.
So Susan, welcome. Thanks for coming in and bringing your opinion in as another woman in fandom, joining women-only fandom groups. And so I'm not sure how much you heard with Claire and I talking about potentially just shutting out their haters, which to an extent is its own form of gatekeeping. But for me, that is a form of gatekeeping I'm cool with. And Claire's like, maybe we need to, teach. And so, Susan, I want, and Claire, please forgive me if I'm misrepresenting your position that you just said. All right. And then, now, Susan, I want your perspective.
Well, the way that I look at it is that it's a safe space. Oh, feedback.
Sorry about that.
Not sure what's happening on my said I can hear myself twice. So
if you can hear yourself twice, it might be because your Facebook or your YouTube is still open.
Oh,
you're gonna need to mute.
No, it's not on my computer.
All right. Well, we're not hearing you twice.
Okay.
So.
All right. So I'll try and tune it out on my end. The way I look at it is a lot of female fans and female identifying fans suffer abuse in a lot of these groups. They are not only suffer with gatekeeping and getting the quizzes and are you a real fan? Are you just a fan because your boyfriend's a fan, etc., and so on. But they also get private messages hitting on them. They get unsolicited messages. So it's just, most of the women that are in these groups are also in other groups, but this is a safe space where they can speak about the issues that speak to them in the fandom that may not necessarily speak to the male half. And they can avoid not just the negativity, but the harassment that happens in fandoms.
Something I've started doing personally is when I look at joining a fan group on Facebook, I look at the admin team. And if the admin team is totally made up of white men.
Yeah.
I
warning sign.
Question whether the concerns of women, people of color, whether those are going to be taken seriously when there is a situation like that in a group which is made up of thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah. The admin group that I'm a part of is the majority are women, which is rare for a Star Trek group.
Really? Is that really? Because
yes,
the one and only, granted, I have been physically a member of one in-person group. The entire leadership team, the captain, by the way, for those watching at home, Star Trek fan groups tend to follow Starfleet rankings. It's so great. Even if you're not officially Starfleet, you're Starfleet. So yeah, it's grand. And this is going back a very long time, back to when I was a child. The leadership of our fan group were all women. The captain, the first officer, the second officer, everyone was a woman or female identifying. And from how it was explained to me back then, that's because women kept the original Star Trek alive. Women, even though it starred three ostensibly white dudes, women kept women led the fandom and kept that series alive, and got it its third season, which took it into syndication, which led to everything else. So I'm just very surprised that it's considered a rarity now.
I'm not a fan of a ton of Star Trek groups, but Star Wars groups, especially white men.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Whereas the TNC group, Star Trek: The Next Conversation, is a lot of women, and we represent there are several members who are queer, and the men are the most open-minded men I've met on the internet in a long time. So, and the stuff we recently, when the new season of Discovery started, we turned on post approval, which we had never really done before, just to solely try and avoid spoilers. But some of the posts that we refuse now, it's just like, why does Burnham never stop crying? where are all the dudes in Star Trek? It's like,
oh my god,
Yeah.
oh my god. Well, all right. To paraphrase Ruth Bader Ginsburg, actually no, I'm going to start off by quoting Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She said she was asked a question: when will there be enough women on the Supreme Court? And she said, when there are 9, not 9 who've ever been, 9 all at once. So when will there be enough women on Star Trek? Most of the Star Trek series have a main cast of your primary and secondary characters together of 7. It's kind of seems to be the Magnificent 7 every single time we do it. So when will there be enough women on Star Trek? When there are 7. There you have it. And if Philippa Georgiou, spoilers for season 3, never mind. I was going to say Philippa Georgiou something. I'm not gonna. But season 4 of Discovery is going to feature a bridge crew. I mentioned this real quick at the top of the show. A bridge crew that is predominantly female, or female identifying, because we have Burnham, we have Tilly, we have Oro, we have Detmer, and we have well, Adira's not really bridge crew, but for the sake of argument, if Adira was on bridge crew, we'd have non-binary and women in 5 of the slots up there. And then Reese and the other guy.
what's his name?
He never has any lines. He's the tactical officer, and he never has any lines. Bryce. There we go. Bryce.
Wait, hold on. Reese and Rice?
Reese and Bryce. Reese and Bryce.
Okay.
Bryce and Reese. And I mixed up the names. Bryce is the communications. Reese is tactical.
Right.
But Reese has like 3 lines a season. Come on.
He's the Nurse Ogawa of Discovery.
Yeah. Can he get to 5 lines this episode?
Inside joke, everyone. Sorry.
Will he get more money this episode? It's gone. No. I think that's fantastic of having a primarily women crew, because why not? It's 20 well, they're 30 something, but it's 2021 for God's sake.
Agreed.
All right, did I just end the conversation? Did we fix it?
But it
Did
would
we
be
fix sexism?
interesting. We especially when you see like a lot of the cosplays and things that happen where women have kind of been shoehorned into having to gender bend certain characters, which if you want to gender bend a character, go for it. But it would be refreshing to have a season or 2 of a show in which there were so many characters that they like could choose from and that they identified with, that had experiences similar to them growing up. And I know it's actually been kind of interesting to watch how the cosplay community has responded to certain things, because they've gotten very good at saying, hey, don't wear that costume in that, don't put that makeup on. They've been very good about that. But they've been also kind of less good when it comes to, we need to fill out our group. So who do we have that can be an Ahura?
Yeah.
So, like, there's that kind of situation happening, that where it's like we want to open it up a little bit more, so that way we're able to like just allow everybody in and feel and make them feel like welcome, and that they aren't they don't fit the mold that had been established 50 years ago.
Yeah. So my question, which I posed at the very top of this episode, and it's also in the descriptor, is what can we do individually and collectively to make gatekeeping not so much of a bad thing? As if anything, it's the good gatekeeping over like, all right, like I'm moderating your comments, making sure you're not being a jerk. But so that's one thing. That's just moderating. How can we correct gatekeeping? I have my thoughts, but I want to hear yours. The two of you.
I believe that if you operate in the spirit of the work itself, it will actually lead you to not behave badly to new fans or people that are new to the community. So shutting somebody down simply because of who they are or what they look like goes totally against the principles that are taught to us in so many of the things that we are saying we are fans of. So maybe behave in the spirit of the work that you're championing.
I like that. Susan, your thoughts?
One of the Star Wars podcasts that I listened to, one of the hosts started advocating a policy of not for me. And what he means when he says that is that if you see something that you have a visceral reaction to, or that you completely disagree with and you're not sure why, scroll by.
Mm-hmm.
Don't react to it. Don't haul out your soapbox, which I've already done this morning, and just rant and rave at people that you disagree with. I'm not saying like intelligent discourse can't happen, that people can't disagree, because we're human and we're always going to disagree. But just if you see something you hate, just scroll by. Just keep going.
Absolutely.
Find something you love and embrace it and throw your energy into that with joy.
It's also utilizing your privilege for good, or to kind of check something that is happening, where I know I am very privileged with the things that I have been able to experience, and the things that I have been able to purchase and witness. Not everybody has those same experiences that I have. So if I see something happening in a forum and I see somebody just truly getting torn down a little bit because they are a fan of something that a lot of people are not a fan of, just jump in and be like, hey, not everybody has the same opinion as you, and we need to respect the fact that people have different experiences.
Oh, I completely agree. And if you see something that is truly offensive, report it.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. The only issue is that I've known certain Facebook groups that have had problematic members, and they've been loath to kind of boot those people out. But Facebook monitors how many things are reported in a group, and you can get your group shut down if there are too many reports, which is sometimes not necessarily a bad thing, but like some bad apples can ruin things for everyone.
And that's on modding. If you feel that you are able to assume a position of leadership, then that group becomes your responsibility.
Yeah.
So
we try and spot things as they're happening. I mean, there's just too much going on for our eyes to be everywhere, but like having an expanded and diverse mod team who can keep an eye on your group through multiple time zones is key, so that you can nip things in the bud before they escalate.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And then if your group is in danger of getting zucked, then it's because it has gotten to a level where you have not checked.
Yeah.
Nobody gets zucked for one day of a flame war.
Yeah. I know a couple of groups where they say don't report. You put either mod or admin as a keyword, and then the mods will continually search the page for the keywords to look for problems.
See,
but yeah, if you're having that many problems.
When I see don't report in the rules, that's a red flag to me, because it indicates that somebody's in that group saying stuff that is so bad that so many people have had to report it.
Well,
and it's gone unchecked.
The one group that I'm thinking of specifically is a group for queer or transgendered Star Wars fans, and they get trolls a lot. They get targeted. So people were reporting the trolls, and that like the page got muted for like a week, and the person who was the owner of the page was she was suspended from Facebook because of that, because there are pages out there that share these kinds of groups with their members so that they can target them. So that's why in that particular group, they're like, please don't report, use this keyword and we'll take care of it immediately.
So situational, just like everything. Yeah.
Life is complicated.
Indeed. Well, I think we solved it. I think we solved sexism and the other
it doesn't exist anymore.
And fandom. We fixed it. I wish I had a banner. Just a mission accomplished.
We did it.
We did it. But I'm gonna have special effects to go off every time we say it now. We did it!
Yay!
You know what? I do have this. You know what? We did it, everyone!
Yay!
Yeah, so there you go. That was so stupid. I'd like to thank our main guest, Claire Bochenek, Artistic Director of the Zenith Players, for being on today. You can find out more about their amazing work, especially during the pandemic that's been going on. Weekly readings of theatre at facebook.com/Zenith Players. You can also go to zenithplayers.com and click on the highly attractive donation button. Susan Hill is moderator, admin of one of my favorite Star Trek groups, Star Trek The Next Conversation Facebook group, also known as the Face Group. She is the president. She's the president. She's the president. Come join us, talk about Star Trek. It is our grand job. I am wearing my Enterprise bomber jacket.
The thing of beauty.
I also put my collar out here, so we're going to make me big real quick, just so you can see it. I Shakespeare'd it up. I zipped it all the way up so we can have my collar sticking out like I like to do. Because I am a nerd. Yeah, this is, by the way, I wear this all the time. Not just because I'm a nerd, but because it's really cozy. It's very
indoors and out, or
oh yeah, I just wear it around the house because I live in upstate New York. It's an old drafty house, so I have to keep the furnace up really high. I just put on a sweater or a jacket.
Well, the rest of us are cosplaying as Arthur Dent the entire pandemic.
Oh, I put on my Picardigan all the time. Yes, my Picardigan. I put it on all the time. I go get it. My cord won't allow me to get over there. I put that on all the time because it has pockets and it's nice and cozy. And then it has pockets, all the pockets, because it's very, it's very NASA-y. It's awesome. I love it.
It does have a very NASA vibe.
It does.
So COVID permitting, and things open up. In November, my friend Zeke and I were planning on going to the Johnson Space Center in Houston. And I'm wearing this, and I'm advocating that he also get one. And then we do, and even though it wasn't done on Enterprise, we do the very NASA thing, which is very U.S. military, and put some name tapes on our right chest right here. And so it has my name. I might just put on Shakespeare on it because I'm a nerd. And we'll just go to NASA and then get some NASA patches to put on to the Enterprise jackets. So just go down the arm or go on the extra 2 pockets here that don't have anything. So I think that would be fun. But basically, friends, bottom line of this story is get a really great jacket. That's what we're all advocating. That's what I think all of us. And you want pockets. You want pockets for your cosplay and also for your life.
What you don't have though is a Riker beard.
I don't have a Riker beard, but Susan has her Riker beard, which is not a good face mask at all.
Riker beard.
Riker beard, not a good face mask, but it's hilarious. Works the same way. That's the Jonathan Frakes beard. Thank you everybody for joining in the conversation in the comments. Also, just like Susan, if your comments are just on fire, I will bring you on the show. I'll be like,
I have to run and brush my hair.
He will snag you.
Claire, thank you so very much for all of your talent and insight, your wisdom that you're bringing to this, and Of course, absolutely, anytime. And anyone at home, anyone at home, it's most of you, I'm assuming. If you would like to support the show, if you enjoy the show half as much as I enjoy making it, I obviously enjoy it twice as much as you do, and that's called maths. And whatever you feel the show is worth, a 1, a 5, a 10, for a 50, I will come and give you the live long and prosper in your front garden, wearing one of my many costumes, maybe all of them. Maybe I'll just keep doing costume changes. Maybe I'll layer them. I don't know. It's a mystery. Throw it into my hat. And by hat, I mean buy me a cup of coffee. Go to coffee.com/Shakespeare. That's ko-fi.com/Shakespeare and buy me a cuppa. Or become a Patreon of the arts and go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Shakespeare. Tiers start at $3 and go all the way up to $30. And on that, real quick, some upcoming show announcements. So, this Friday is the very first of our Friday night concert series. It's going to be happening every 2 weeks, Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Doors open at 7:30. This is going to be a Zoom-based concert series going through the spring. Our very first concert is going to be Drunk and Disorderly. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have the Langers Ball. Drunk and Disorderly this week, Friday night. Tickets are available on Eventbrite, only $5. And you can also go to the Facebook group that Facebook event that I've set up for it, and then the Langers Ball in 2 weeks. Tomorrow we're going. Hopefully, if I get recording all to work properly, we're going to have Rodney Hackham of New York Shakespeare. He's going to be joining us as the guest tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have the leadership of the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. It's going to be an excellent week of Shakespeare's Coffee Break. And remember, Shakespeare's Coffee Break is every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 10:35 a.m. On Thursdays, we do Writing Sonnets with Shakespeare, which I, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and you, the friendly neighborhood audience, we write a sonnet together. We come up with a classic 14-line poem. It can be about anything. It can be about hope. It can be about Star Trek. And it can be about mushrooms. We were bringing in the mycelial network in the last one. It was weird and amazing. Fridays in this time slot, we have Shakespeare Reviews, the movie review show I do with Andrew McKee, the Irish Bard, over with Life's Affair. New episodes on every Friday. This week, we are talking about Romeo and Juliet, I believe, is our show that we're talking about this week. And it's just a great and good time. And either Claire or Susan gasped.
I love Romeo and Juliet.
You're going to have to tune in for the watch party, which happens at facebook.com/Shakespeare Approves. Goodness, where did that go? Facebook.com/Shakespeare Approves. Friday morning at 10:35. Join in the watch party. It's going to be great. And then, of course, Friday evening at 5:35 p.m., we have Shakespeare's Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour. Oh, yeah, that is a thing. This Friday, we have Drunk and Disorderly. I don't know who the main guest is going to be, but Claire and TJ, the technical director of Zenith Players, tend to join me.
Sometimes there's chickens.
Sometimes there's chickens, barking dogs, cats. It's a menagerie.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah, mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together. So thank you, everyone, for joining me. We went long this morning, but it was a really great conversation, and I appreciate all of you coming for it. Once again, thank you to Susan Hill for being our special mystery guest. In the meantime, everyone, I love you, you love me. There is mutual glorious affection. Until next time, stay classy, San Diego. I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Can I get that thing to work? Oh my gosh, too much going on. Oh, there's the button. All right, bye-bye, everyone.